Okay. Dear friends, after having seen the background of existentialism as well as the traces of the sources of existentialism, we have just started modern art in relation to existentialism. As I already told, both are pointing to the same referent. And what is that? Both are speaking about human being in his nakedness. This expression, man in his nakedness or nudity, it means without any cover, man in his rawness, the raw human being as he shows himself. That is what existentialism has been revealing through their writings. And modern art also in the art form is pointing to the same point, the same referent. So the referent, what they are pointing towards is the same. Human being in his nakedness, in his rawness or nudity. And just as existentialism took a deviation from the traditional philosophy has been abstract and without any element of time and space, taking our thought to the ideal realm, and from that one, the contemporary philosophy has brought philosophizing to the real world. And in existentialism, we see that one very clearly. A shift has taken place. So also, there is a shift has taken place from the traditional form of art to the modern art. A few of the characteristics that we can refer to are the material that is used for the modern art. For the traditional art, they use always what is fine, marble, what is beautiful colors, gold, something very precious and something that is pleasant to look at. But we find in the modern art, we find what are they using? They are using thrown away materials, unshapely stone, unshapely piece of wood, and also even manipulation of the human body, and so on. Then I would like to dwell on a little more on the flattening of painting into two-dimensional. Painting, traditional, primitive painting was two-dimensional, just flat surface. Only we see the length and the width, just as on a paper, that is two-dimensional. Eventually, painting became three-dimensional with depth. Now when you come to the modern art, it is so to say going back to the primitive painting, it has become again two-dimensional, flattening of the painting. Besides that one, and all these things show that modern art is something shocking and nihilistic, something normally humans are not able to understand. What is the meaning of? You know the most famous modern artist, anybody remembers? His name is Picasso. Picasso is so to say, the father of modern artists. He is a Spaniard, and his famous painting is called Guernica. Guernica means war. A war is painted. I don't have the picture with me, but in the encyclopedia, especially Encyclopedia Britannica, you can find that picture. Simply, we will not be able to understand. Simply sketches. That's all. That is typical modern art. So here, when you look at the modern art, we find it is very shocking, nihilistic and negative and unpalatable and irrational. Unpalatable, that is not tasty, not very pleasant for the tongue. Now this, besides that one, we find there is also flattening of space and time. Now, what is the meaning of flattening of space and time? No, wiping. Okay. We are drawing a picture of a train. It will be going, and then it becomes farther the object, it becomes smaller. So there is a difference between near and far. In the modern art, it is flattened. That means there is no difference between near and far. Everything is on the same surface. Flattening of space, near and far, the difference between near and far is done away with. That is with regard to the space. With regard to the time too, there is a flattening of time. How do you do that one? Time means today, what happened today, what is happening today is different from what has happened years back. So they make it traditional language. The distinction is very clear. What is the remote past and the near past and the present? There's a difference. But then in the modern literature, that distinction between the past and the present is done away with. Everything as though happening at this moment. Flattening of time. Flattening of space means the difference between far and near is done away with. Flattening of time means the difference between then and now is done away with. So there is a flattening of space and time. And besides that one, there is also flattening of climax. Another third element, a flattening. And what is the meaning of flattening of climax? Normally, the traditional form of art, what is it called? A canvas. Canvas, the most important part of the art will go to the center, the head. Suppose you are doing a paint of Our Lady. So then that will go there, and then the other parts are less important. So always the center of the canvas takes the prominent place. That is the traditional type of art. But when you come to the modern art, there is no climax of the center is not the most important place. Every piece, every part of the climax or the canvas is equally important. The head may be here, the hand may be here, the leg may be here. There is no difference between what is more important and less important. That is the meaning of what is it called? Flattening of a climax. No climax. What is more important, less important, prominent place, less prominent place. That kind of a distinction is done away in modern art. Yet another flattening is the flattening of values. Values means flattening of values. What is more valuable and less valuable? More and less. Especially with regard to the object taken. Formerly, the paintings or the carvings of the saints and popes and kings, that were considered to be the most important. Nobody goes for a painting or carving something that is a poor man's. There is a famous painting by one Dutch painter, and the peasant woman's shoes, worn out shoes. But that is a masterpiece. That we looking at that painting, we can make out the way she has been working, the she was walking. Everything we can see from that one. Because it is a poor woman's shoes, it doesn't mean that it is less important. So that distinction between the more important and less important, based on the object taken for the art, that also is removed. Everything is important. Even a small blade of grass is equally important as something that is made of gold. Everything is important. Everyone is equally important. Not because someone is the king. His painting is not going to become more important than the painting of a poor woman's shoes. That kind of, I am just referring to what has taken place in modern art is a flattening of dimension. That means the depth is flattened out. There is no more. We cannot see in the modern art that what is the depth dimension we cannot see. Everything is flattened out on the same surface. Then I came to the climax with the flattening of space. No distinction between what is near and what is far. The flattening of time. There is no distinction between what is happening now and what happened in the remote past. Flattening of climaxes. There is no difference between more important place and less important place in a canvas. And also flattening of values. That means values are not depending on the person or the object that is taken for the art material. That means a painting that is carried out about the king does not become more important than a poor woman.